So with that, I'm going to go ahead and invite Lawrence to come up to the podium.
All right, good evening, and thank you very much for being here. And I'd like to second what Dr. Broom said here, our appreciation to all of you for coming here tonight, as well as to the pastors and the members of this church for making this wonderful facility available to us. So thank you very, very much for that. We're going to be talking about the California School Choice Initiative, which is being put together by the California School Choice Foundation. This is to put an initiative on the ballot. Now, I know we're going to be voting in 3 weeks. This is not for 3 weeks from now. This is for 2 years and 3 weeks from now. But in order to get there from here, we've got a lot of work to do. And the first thing we want to do is familiarize you all with this initiative, what it's all about, and how you can help. Okay, next please. Now, I'm a very purpose-driven person. I'm very goal-oriented. I want to know why I'm doing something, and presumably you probably do too. So I want to start off by explaining why we are here tonight, why I am here tonight. Okay, next. Our big goal, the big picture, is to give our children the best educational opportunities possible. And I think you would all agree that one of the reasons for that is this is one of the best ways to have a truly fulfilling, meaningful, fruitful life, both for the individual, that person's family, the community, and the nation. So this is a very great and noble goal that we are pursuing. We also believe that one of the best ways to accomplish this is through school choice. And we think that one of the best ways to accomplish genuine school choice is through the California School Choice Initiative. Next, please. Well, just in case there's any question, and Dr. Broom already had a definition up here, but let me go into it a little bit more. What is school choice? Well, school choice gives parents genuine options to choose among public schools, charter schools, private schools, magnet schools, homeschooling, by allowing public education funds to be available to pay for the parent's choice in education. Now, some of you may be saying, well, we already have that, don't we? We have all those options available. In theory, we do, but as a practical matter, not really, not for most people. For example, in theory, I could get a Rolls Royce, or a Maserati, or a Ferrari. Yeah, but practically, no, that's just not in the picture for me. And it's not in the picture for a lot of parents to have the option to send their children anywhere but a public school because of the way the system is set up now. Next, please. So what we're going to do tonight is, first of all, familiarize you with this outstanding way to accomplish genuine school choice, to give genuine options to these parents, which is the California School Choice Initiative. And we're also going to cover ways to show you how you can help to make this possible so that 2 years from now, you'll be able to vote for this and make it happen. Okay, I've talked about why we're here tonight. We got the next slide, please. Now I'm going to change the emphasis a little bit and say, why am I here tonight? Now, this initiative is not partisan. It's not Republican, Democrat, left, right. It's just smart. It's just a great way to accomplish these things. But it is going to be accomplished through a political process, and it's going to involve tens of billions of dollars. Now, anytime politics and that much money is involved, you have a right to ask what's in it for the people who are promoting one side or the other. What's your motivation? So I think it's only honest to tell you a little bit about why I am involved in this. Well, I've done a lot of things over my life. I've been an officer in the Marine Corps. I've run other people's businesses. I've started my own businesses. I've been involved with church administration. But, will you have the next slide, please? I've spent over 23 years in the classroom. And that's with my back to the chalkboard, not my face to the chalkboard. In other words, as a teacher. I have over 8 years of experience as a public school teacher. I have 15 years as a private school teacher, in fact, in a Christian school. And I've also volunteered to help out with various homeschool co-ops. So I have a broad range of experience. Now, why would I be drawn to this? Obviously, I have a heart for education, and I have a heart for the kids. That's my motivation. When Dr. Broom contacted me about what he's doing with this initiative and explained it to me, I said, you know what, this is great, and I want to be a part of this activity to make this possible. Now, one of the natural questions that might come up next, from all this experience that I have, is you might ask, well, gee, Lawrence, what do you think is best? Public school, private school, charter school, homeschool? Next. That's an excellent question. And my answer is, next, it depends. There isn't one answer. In some communities, the public schools really do a pretty good job, although, as the doctor mentioned, some of the curricula is getting pretty problematic, especially for people of faith. In some communities, there really isn't a very good private school option. In some communities, there's an excellent private school option. In some places, homeschooling might be the best choice. But that makes the point about school choice. You see, one size does not fit all. And whenever you have a one-size-does-not-fit-all situation, then choice is absolutely vital if you're going to service the interests of as many people as possible. And that's why this is so critical. Let me give you another reason why I think it's so critical to create these options for our parents and their children. Next, please. This is a class picture of one of my classes along the way. We're at a field trip there. Now, you probably can't see the faces too well, but if you did a count, you see there are exactly twice as many boys as girls. In the educational community, that's what we call the death ratio. When you have that many more boys than girls, it's going to be trouble. It is going to, let's say, challenge your commitment to abstinence in the fields of alcohol and heavy drugs. Right? Now, I have to say I did honor that commitment, but some days were pretty tough. It was a bit of a problem there. We had a great school, we had great kids, great families, great staff, great teachers. It was wonderful, and we did a great job. And in fact, that's testified to by the fact that many of our parents were from the public schools, either as teachers or administrators. Obviously, we could provide something for their kids that the public schools couldn't. And it wasn't always just a Christian education. It was also academics. We had an excellent academic record. Let me tell you a little bit about that. Next, please. Now, schools across the country take the SAT test, the Scholastic Aptitude Test. We took them as well, and we usually took them in April of the school year. That means we were about 3/4 of the way through the school year. Next, please. So, if we were performing exactly at grade level, we would get a score of 3.75. In other words, third grade, that's what there we go. Third grade, and about 3/4 of the way through the third grade. And that's maybe the average for all by really good students and then some that are not quite so good. So what did we really do? If I were a betting man, and I'm not, but if I were, and if I could take somebody to take the bet, I could make a lot of money by betting what my class would perform at, what level, because it was so consistent. Next, please. We consistently scored in the range of 4.8 to 5.2. That means that already, not quite 3/4 of the way through third grade, we were more than a full grade level ahead of where we're supposed to be. And that trend just continued through the rest of the years. I know when my daughter, who went there, was in 5th grade, she was reading at a 9th grade level. This was a great school. As I said, the kids loved it, the parents loved it, the community loved it. We did a lot of community action, things like that. The staff all loved it. In fact, our slogan was, "We love this place." And yet, next slide, please. On June 28, 2010, Banner announced that it was closing. Next, please. Why? How could this happen? How could such a great educational institution fold after 30 years? Next slide, please. The answer was simple. Money. Money. Next slide. If you send your kids to a private school, you have to pay taxes and tuition. If you send your kids to a public school, you just have to pay the taxes. And it just got to the point where a lot of parents could no longer pay both of those. In 2010, we were still in the aftermath of the Great Recession of 2007, 2008. Christian schools had been folding over the years, and it just got to the point where they couldn't handle it. But, next slide, please. Wouldn't it be nice if parents didn't have to worry about money when choosing which option was best for their children's education? Wouldn't it be nice if they could pick the best school for their kids and not the best school they could afford? Next, please. Well, this is exactly what the California School Choice Initiative will accomplish, and miraculously it will do that without costing taxpayers a single penny. Now, I know that sounds very suspect, and you should be suspect. Right now, I'm talking during the middle of an election season. We have all kinds of people out there promising you free this and free that, and clear this and clean that. And you need to be suspicious. How can we promise such a great option at no cost? Well, actually, it's pretty genius and pretty simple. Next slide, please. Okay, here we go. Well, back in 1988, the California voters passed Proposition 98, and it requires that the state set aside a certain minimum percentage of the state budget for the education of children kindergarten through 12th grade. Now, this is no new money. This is money that's taken from existing property tax revenues from the various cities, counties, and special districts, and paid into an educational revenue augmentation funds. So the money's already there. Okay, next slide, please. Right now, that's well over $12,000. The number, it varies over the years because the budget varies, and since it's a percentage of the budget, that will vary, and the number of kids in that age group varies. But we think it's more in the range of $13,000 to $14,000 per student per year right now. But we're just saying 12. I'm just saying 12 because I can guarantee that number. And I want to be honest with you, unlike some of those other people promising free this and free that. We can guarantee minimum $12,000 per student per year. Next slide, please. So the California School Choice Initiative would allow the parents of kids from kindergarten to 12th grade to take that share of their money out of that pot that's handled by the state and have these funds deposited into educational savings accounts that would be established in the child's name and would be run by their parents or their guardians. You might be asking, what's the difference between vouchers and the educational savings account? Because you've probably heard more about vouchers than educational savings account. The fact is, there isn't a whole lot of difference. There are some, but the critical difference is that vouchers are run by the state, and that means they can mess with it. Just like they're messing with my Social Security, you know. They keep changing the age at which you can retire, and how much money you get, and how many benefits you get, and all that stuff. Well, the state's in charge of it, they can mess with it. Under an educational savings account, the students will actually have certain legal property rights to that money. And the limitations on how it's spent are much, much more limited. Okay, now, if we go to the next one, please. Okay, now, this money could be used to finance a student's education. If they like their public school, fine. But if they want to go to a charter school that may charge something, or a private school, or homeschooling, they would have $12,000 a year per student to fund that. That'd be fantastic. Once more, next slide. Any funds left over at the end of each year would stay in the account, roll over, and then have the next year's money, another $12,000 or $13,000 or $14,000 added to it. So they won't lose it. It's not a use it or lose it. And next slide, please. And any funds left over upon graduation from high school would be available to pay for the student's college or vocational school tuition. Next slide. There you go. Is that great or what? This truly gives parents a choice. And it gives them the ability to fund and finance that choice. And it won't cost any of us an extra penny. I don't know. It just sounds to me like in the history of no-brainers, this has got to be on the top 10 list, right? Okay. Well, we understand you're going to have some questions. There are more presenters here who are going to answer other areas. At the end of it, hopefully we'll have answered all your questions. If not, we'll all be available to answer whatever questions you might have in addition to that. Thank you very much for listening to me, and I appreciate that.